Thank you. It means a great deal to me that I am in a place called Cape May, and I will explain that to you shortly. I am a comic. My nature is comedic, and I've done a lot of TED Talks. But my TED Talks were always for Ted Baxter, Ted Bundy, and Ted Nugent. So this is the first real TED Talk. I am an actor. I delivered the pizza to Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I was the bad guy in a Bruce Willis movie, and really nobody knows my name. They don't know my first and my last name together. And I'm actually not famous. I am fame-ish. And if you Google me, you will get the word alternative to describe me. And I don't know what that means. I mean, because I speak French and I understand Thomas Jefferson and the Treaty of Versailles. It maybe means that I understand also genetically modified wheat. Maybe I'm alternative because I've never watched Survivor. But I am a survivor, and I'm also a special victim. I am a participant. I prefer reality to dreams. Reality is easier to manipulate than dreams because dreams usually are somebody else's dreams, and they're impervious and they are immobile. And we don't really have the luxury to do that with reality. If you lost your house through a fire or through foreclosure, that's a reality. It was your dream, but you gotta move on. And a lot of people run from reality, and I find reality comforting, and it's my nature. My nature helped me survive with humor, and by nurturing my nature, I survived myself. My nature is that I'm a comic wise ass, and it works. It worked very well for me. I went into show business very early, and I understood that people need to laugh, and that when you are in the dark, you are susceptible to learning great lessons. When you hear a song or a story, your heart, something about yourself is revealed, and your nature is revealed. No matter what you are, you must accept who you are. If you're yellow, if you're green, if you're light, if you're dark, accept it. If you're dark, fine. Don't bother to bend in. Just be yourself. But if you're dark, bring extra batteries for the flashlight because you may need them. We all have to become accountable to who we are right now because we are actually in sacred time. Angels and muses are gathering, and we have to get over the fear of who we are. We must become originals. When we become originals, we become irreplaceables. And that's so important. Americans have a very difficult time accepting themselves and their nature because we're told early on you can be a princess or a superhero. Well, some people can't pull off the cape or the crown, and it can lead to divine dissatisfaction. And that is not good because we must rewire our brains because when we rewire our brains, we are rewiring the planet, and the planet requires that right now. Being an artist or wanting to be an artist, a sculptor, or whatever it is, requires that you remain susceptible to angels, to totems, actors, singers, and magical thinking. The material worldview has kind of gripped the Western consciousness, and that's why all of us need magical thinking. It's why Harry Potter is so popular. It's why, The Hobbit is so popular. Beyond all of that, I'm also a writer. I am the guy with the journal. And preparing this talk for you, it made me stop for a moment. I like stopping. I like traffic signs. I love red lights. I love being able to stop because when you stop, you're able to connect your past to the present. Jan Struther in the book Mrs. Miniver said, in order to navigate your life, you need to keep a small frame of the past with you. And this is my frame. I never saw Star Wars. I fell asleep during the opening credits. And it was awful because everybody woke up and they said, this is wonderful. And I just said, yeah. And I never confessed. For 30 years, I believed that Star Wars was about a model that got kicked off of a planet and had to go live on another planet with a mean modeling agent. And they played mind games with him, and they listened to Eddie Fisher records. May the Force be with you. I nurtured that story into a joke, fodder, copy, and I turned a potential disaster into survival. I'm not saying that I'm better because I didn't see Star Wars, but it made me a bigger thinker, more imaginative. It stimulated me. I've never seen the Super Bowl. And that's because on Sunday, I'm usually giving cookies to Christian children. But one woman said to me, "I can't believe you've never seen the Super Bowl. I pity you." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you don't have a team to root for." And I thought, well, I get up in the morning and I put on my own jersey and I root for myself. I root for the people who root for me. I root for my parents and my brothers. And there's no guacamole or face painting involved. Don't pity me. For a moment now, I want to pay tribute to a muse, a person who knew their nature and nurtured it, a person who changed me and helped me define my nature. And that is the actress and the writer, Mae West. She was my muse. She was a person who knew herself. Mae West, a 1930s movie star. And when I was a kid in that dusty Glendale suburb in Los Angeles, the TV only had 13 channels. The TV guide would come on Sunday, and I would go through it. And I'd find out what day her movie was going to be on, if it was going to be on. And then I'd plan my stomach ache. And I'd stay home, and I would watch Mae West. And she was supremely sexy, and she was older, and she was mature, and she was original, and she was a personality, and she was magnetic, and she was kabuki-like, and she was cartoonish, and she just made me laugh. She spoke to everyone as though they were equals, bad guys, priests, different races. It didn't matter to Mae West. She's wearing a spiderweb dress, and Cary Grant comes up to her and asks, "Do you mind if I get personal?" And she said, "I don't care if you get familiar." She said, "Never attach guilt to a biological act. Legends are not born, they're made." Mae West never got the short end of the stick. And when I later found out that she wrote all of these words, everything that she wrote was her truth. Mae West nurtured her nature, saved Paramount Studios from financial ruin, and she was the first person to ever get in trouble for twerking. I became a stand-up because of Mae West. I nurtured my nature, and she became my guide, and here is the saga. When I was at the Comedy Store, I would perform stand-up, writing my own words, and there was a picture of Mae West in the audience. When that light came on, it meant that I had to leave the stage. I'd be in my dressing room, and somebody would say, "The Mae West is on," and I'd walk on stage. When I was on The Tonight Show, which was so exciting, they cut away from me to a caricature of Mae West that said, "More to come." And that just kind of blew me away, crescendo commercial. This larger-than-life angel is my personal sister, Honky Tonk. And I went into the movies, and I was blessed because I was able to write the things that I was able to say. And people stop me and they say, "Hey, you're that guy," and then they quote me, and I realized it was because of Mae West. I hope that this talk that I've told you about Mae West will make you consider that you all have muses out there in the spirit world. And when you listen to your favorite song, you are literally burning off karma. Those guides, these people are waiting to help you. And all you have to do is ask. And now, as we continue on in reality, I'm still in Hollywood, I'm still in the business, but I know that I'll never be in a Hobbit movie. Because, unless Bilbo Baggins orders a pizza. And when a Hobbit orders a pizza, someone's got to go down a long, wet, nasty hole, and I'm too old. And I like getting older. I think it's really, really great. I'm not afraid. I have muses that will help me get older. It's very, very hard to get older, especially when you're a man, because you can't, get a facelift because the surgeon only gives you two choices, Siegfried or Roy. My fame has made me vacillate toward, shame and defensiveness, and then I always go back to pure joy and I tap myself on my back because I did good. Sometimes you have to tap yourself on the back and say, you did good, and reestablish your calling in life. This is very important because you are all irreplaceable. You just now have to become original. That's the currency that is the most valuable. The angels are waiting to be heard. We are in a very unique time in history right now. We are all connected. You know how we are. So we could spend the rest of our life taking selfies, or we can actually wipe out greed and inequality. We are just little stars revolving around each other. Sometimes we bump into kind of rogue comets and asteroids, and we get kicked off our orbit. But I believe that when we get kicked off and we go into a new orbit, that it may be a shortcut home. And home is not a place. It's a silent nest where we can apply the things that we learned from our nature and from our angels. Thank you for being here and listening to me. And you get to be now, I see something that really is kind of amazing because it's the singular moment. Mae West led me to put my pen to paper. She was behind me when I wrote this, and it happened at Cape May.